Hello, and of course, welcome to another episode of Pivotal Moments with Lolita. As always, I'm very excited about my guest coming on the show for the conversation. And I'm super excited because today's guest happens to be a very dear friend of mine. So I'm so excited to talk with her and talk about her pivotal moments. So let me not delay anymore. Let me introduce Vanessa, who is the owner, founder of 𝐿𝐷𝐻𝐼𝑟𝑎, an amazing natural plant-based skincare products, all that good stuff. But I'm going to toss it on over to you, Vanessa, so you can tell everybody in much more detail what you do.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. 𝐿𝐷𝐻𝐼𝑟𝑎 is basically just what Lita said. 𝐿𝐷𝐻𝐼𝑟𝑎 LLC is founded here in Baltimore, Maryland. And my mission is to educate the public about self-care and using self-care to be able to help with your physical wellness, with your emotional wellness, as well as your mental wellness. All of our products, like mentioned before, are plant-based. I have a very strong passion and belief that a lot of things that are found in nature can kind of help heal us overall. So that's really the mission of 𝐿𝐷𝐻𝐼𝑟𝑎. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love it. And she not only is it an amazing plant-based product, but it is an amazing plant-based product. Like the smell, the scent, just everything. So I could go on about that, but let's get into pivotal moment.
No problem. We're here all day.
So, Vanessa, what pivotal moment will you be sharing with us today?
Gosh, there's so many. I'll start with what actually was a stepping stone for 𝐿𝐷𝐻𝐼𝑟𝑎. When I had my second daughter, I got diagnosed with postpartum depression, and that was a big one. I'll stop there. Postpartum depression is what we'll be talking about, how I pivoted with that.
Wow. So tell us about it. What was your pivotal moment?
So it's possible, based on taking a look back at my history. When I had my first daughter, just a year before I had my second daughter, Hope. It was possible I was starting to develop postpartum depression, but then I had gotten pregnant right afterwards. And if you know anything at all about the maternal hormone, it kind of helped balance things out a little bit. So while I might have been going through depression, getting that new hormone influx, I didn't really be able to catch a spot on when I had my youngest. But then everything came full circle when I had my second. And the way that I pivoted was, well, first I admitted that something wasn't quite right. You hear a lot of people talk about, oh, you have the mommy blues, or you're kind of just going through a rough patch. But this was a little bit different because some of the negative thoughts that I may have had were strong enough where I wanted to silence them in unhealthy ways. I think that's the best way I can put it for your audience. So I admitted first that something wasn't quite right. And the first people I spoke to was my mom and my husband, which is basically just my household. And then from there, I went and I started seeking therapy. But one of the things I had learned in therapy was to try to use a creative space to deal with some of the, to use creativity as a coping mechanism. In doing so, my daughter, she started developing eczema when she was young. So at the time, she may have been around 3 months. And my creativity led to me making shea butters, started making soap, started making oils, using all these natural things. And don't get me wrong, I am pro doing whatever it is you need to do. If you have a mental illness that requires you to take medication, take the medication, because I look at mental illness no different than you having a cold. When you have a cold, you don't mind going to CVS or to whatever store and get what medication that you need. I feel the exact same way when you're having a mental cold. You know what I mean? And I say that lightly just to make sure that I am not offensive to anybody, but not discrediting taking medication. But I also want to find more holistic ways to be able to do it. So I will say that I took my moment, my postpartum depression, and was able to pivot into making being the core reason or the core thing to kind of help get me out of it by doing creative things, which led to the formation of 𝐿𝐻𝐻 within a year and a half later.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I always, especially when I have these conversations with people about, mental health and things like that, the first thing that I always really like to do is just commend you for your courage and bravery, because it's not easy always to talk about it and to think about it. But not only that, when you were going through it, at a certain point, you recognized the need to talk to someone about what was going on. So I'm just really happy that you made that step, and I think that's something really good for people to hear.
Yes, thank you.
Especially, yeah, and especially I love the fact that you're talking about even after pregnancy, because I think, again, I'd imagine that there's even some measure of guilt and shame, because it's like, well, this should be the happiest moment, but this is how bad I feel.
Lita,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
In my particular case, my two kids are considered double rainbows. Prior to having them, I also had two miscarriages. So I had an additional feeling of shame. One of my mental challenges that is long term is I deal with a lot of shame with situations that I shouldn't be shameful for. And that's what brings on my anxiety and my depression.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shame in how are you depressed after you're finally getting what you've been praying for, especially since you lost two kids prior to that. And so that was big. And I would not have known that the feeling that I was having was categorized as shame, because I couldn't put a word to it, because you hear people say you might have negative talk or you talk down to yourself. Like, I could easily recognize if I say, oh, you're ugly today. For me, it wasn't that concrete, but that shame is what leads me down my roads of depression or anxiety flares or panic attacks. So for me, you're absolutely right about the whole feeling guilty about having something so wonderful and something that so many people want. It was tough, but
Wow.
you get to it.
Yeah, and once again, just thank you for just being transparent and talking about something that is a lot more common than people probably recognize. And I definitely feel like what I always hope to accomplish with this show and with this conversation is that someone is going through it, and you just gave them that sense of acceptance that, you know what, it is okay that I'm dealing with this. So thank you for sharing, so yeah. So when we talk about the pivotal moment, we always talk about that thing that you learn from it, that is basically the important thing that everything centers around, your why. So what would you say through your pivotal moment that you really took from this? What did you learn was the unchangeable thing of importance for you?
That it was part of who I was. It wasn't just that I was diagnosed with a mental challenge. It was part of who I was and needing to accept that. I think we are very quick to be proud about, oh yeah, I'm a college graduate, I'm a business owner, but I need to be able to accept and be okay with the not so pretty or not so glamorous parts of me. And realizing that this was not a symptom of lack of being a spiritual being, not lack of not having enough confidence. This is just what it was. Like, everybody has some type of imperfection that they deal with. Some people have freckles, some people have moles, some people have extra limbs. Like, this literally was just what mine was. So I have to say that accepting that this is who I was and I had it, but it wasn't going to necessarily define me. One of my quotes that I kind of always try to keep in my head is that you can't stop life experiences that happen to you, but you are still responsible for the person you become. And just because I have X, Y, Z, or I went through this, it did not give me permission to not be accountable to being the best version of myself that I can be. So that's what it was. I had to accept that all these different things, my trauma, my wins, all this made up me, and this person was acceptable, this person was good enough. And that's what set the core of everything that I have to do in life that I need to pivot around. Like, hey, this is just another layer of who I am, and that's okay.
Girl.
It took a while to get there.
But what you're saying is just so important and so powerful. Oh my goodness. As a person who, I share it all the time, having gone through depression, having coached other women that are dealing with it, I think the biggest hurdle is exactly what you're talking about, that getting to a place of acceptance, getting to a place of acknowledging that this may be, like you said, just who you are, but being okay with that and recognizing that you can accept who you are and what makes you up, but you can also make decisions and choices to be the best person and be the best version of yourself. So
absolutely.
Whew, I love it. So now let's talk about adjustments. So we talk about the pivotal moment and the thing we pivot on, and that being of importance to us. But with adjustments, adjustment can be defined as having to adapt to something uncomfortable. So sometimes the adjustments are kind of like the ugly spaces, I like to say. So can you share with us a time where you had to make the adjustment rather than the pivot?
My mom's death. You can't pivot around losing your best friend. It's there ain't nothing you could do about that. So it literally became an adjustment. I hate the term new normal, but for lack of better words, at the very moment, that's literally what it was. And that was a major adjustment because when I was going through, for example, when I was going through my postpartum depression, I had her there. When I was in the better parts of it, I had her there. There wasn't anything, whether it be a win, a loss, a trauma, I didn't know life without having her there. So then when I lost my mom, suddenly it became a major adjustment, and it became, how did mommy teach you to be able to live without her? Because I hate to put it like that, but at the end of the day, when you're having children, you are preparing them to be able to function with life without you. And it sounds so depressing and so sad, but that's the circumstance of the world that we live in. And so then it became, well, mommy obviously gave you the tools because you're a functional adult. You still, don't get me wrong, I had no problem going to my mom and crying on her pillow. Like that was my safe space, but I still had to find a way to adjust with that loss and still be who I am, especially trying to make sure that I now become what my mom was to me, to my two daughters. So that if I had to pick out what was my adjustment, or still going through my adjustment period, it's recently losing my mom at the end of 2019.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Once again, my heart goes out to you. My arms go around you, because I can only but skim on imagining what that must be like, and the fact that, especially knowing you and knowing that even through your pain, all that you do for other people, it's just remarkable, and I keep you in my prayers, because I know that's a huge adjustment.
Yeah. Thank you. But we're not gonna be sad today. It's all right. We're going through it. We're gonna talk about the prettiness of it.
That's right.
So it's all good. But I do appreciate it. But I'll say this. It's not this. nobody wants to go through difficult times or anything hard, but what's the point of going through something if you can't use it to help somebody else? Like, I think about, unfortunately, some people who may have lost a parent in death. If those people didn't go through that, they wouldn't know how to help me with mine. And I'm not saying that you have to have lost a parent to understand my pain necessarily, because I think you can be empathetic to anything. But it's what's the point of going through it if you can't teach someone else or help someone else with it? And that's literally how I've always been. I mean, it might have been just the way that I was raised. My mom, for example, she didn't necessarily have a great childhood, and she had some tough times, but like for her, she was auntie Wilma to everybody that knew her. So she, whatever wisdom that she was able to acquire from her experiences, she made sure she shared it. And that is naturally what I do as well. If I go through something and then I hear X, Y, Z going through it, and I'm like, hey, this is what I did. This is what worked for me. I'm not sure it's going to work for you. Like, it's a responsibility to do that as a human being, I feel like.
I love it. And I'm a firm believer. To me, I'm like, like you said, what's the point of going through something painful if you can't then turn it around and use it to help someone else?
Yep.
So as we come to the end of our conversation, this is the time where you can leave whatever message you want to leave with the viewers, whatever, nuggets that you want to leave. What do you want to say directly to the viewers?
If you are going through life and you're trying to figure out whether or not you can do the next thing that you have on your vision board, or the next thing that's in the back of your mind when you get ready to go to sleep at night, and you're wondering if you should pursue it, pursue it. If there's a conversation that you need to have with a loved one to make peace, do it. If there is a dream that's not going to take away from the more important things in life, do it. I'm not saying that life is easy. I'm not saying that you're not going to have a couple of times when you trip and fall, but the beautiful things that you can rise up. There's a poem called The Race, and I'll abridge it a little bit. It's a children's race, and all the children are going, and there's this one particular kid, and while he's going, he ends up tripping. And throughout the whole entire race, he trips, but he hears his father in the background telling him to get up and keep on going. At the end of the race, he ended up coming in last place, and he felt defeated. But his father said that he was most proud of him because he rose each time that he fell, and he completed the race. And I think sometimes we get caught up in judging our journey with someone else and thinking they should be very identical and parallel, when sometimes it's just kind of all over the place. So just keep going, and keep that as your motto. And of course, indulge in your plant-based skincare hair, Gentile. But yeah, that's about it.
I absolutely love that. And what great advice and great tips. Again, no matter what you're going through, and especially in the world of social media, where most of us have this kind of, this past year, we've probably done a lot more, Zoom and social media and everything that we ever would have dreamed in life. It can be easy to compare ourselves with other people. So I love that advice. I love those tips. And of course, you all are seeing the links and information on your screen. So I am telling you to do yourself a favor and go on ahead.
And come on over. No, but like seriously, the Gentile community is a very loving and opening one. One of the things I love about this company that I created is that we want to make sure that we're teaching you how to incorporate plant-based products into your everyday routine. It's not going to be this whole, I need to drop all this and then I need to do all that. I mean, some people have made that complete change, but there is a transitioning period. And I love that we're able to kind of intermesh or interconnect within there to be able to give you everything that you need. So yeah, come check it out.
And definitely check out the website because there's so much information just on the website. Don't you have a like a skincare and testing or analysis or something?
Yeah, so I actually have on our website, we actually have a skincare assessment. So let's say that you're like, okay, I hear about all these great things about incorporating plant-based products into my regimen. But where do I start? Come up with the gin tonic. And literally, we have an assessment there where you answer some questions, like basic questions about a little bit about how regal you are. When I say regal, like how old are you, honey? It talks about even some of your dietary habits, your dietary, some of your dietary habits, and somehow some of those things can affect how your skin operates. Like what's your lifestyle, like you'll love it. It's a really great starting point for you. What I also love about the website, we're very transparent about the ingredients that we use. You don't ever have to question, well, is this inside here? Well, I'm allergic to coconut oil. Does this have that? We have everything listed there. So come check us out, take a look, and please, I have a contact form there. If you have questions, email me or send a message. It's going to come directly to me. If you're looking for more so of feedback from a group of people, I have a Facebook group called the 𝐏𝐢𝐯𝐬 community, where literally it's very informal. You're like, hey, I'm having this issue, I'm having that. What are you guys using? Can you recommend this or anything like that? Like that's kind of the goal with the group. So we have everything here that you need.
They sure do. And they got something for everybody. The men, ladies, y'all want to get something for your man. The men, you're watching, you want to get something for yourself. She got you there too. She got something for the home. She got tea. Listen.
Yes. I love it. And I make sure that while I'm growing, I make sure that I'm growing along with my peers. So when I can collab, I make sure that I collab with other small businesses. So we try to make sure everything works together. We're very much a collaboration over competition company.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we have had an amazing conversation as always. I know that you all out there have been able to connect with some of the things that Vanessa was saying, because again, we're just all really just trying to make the best of all of our different situations. And so I'm sure that you were impacted positively and inspired by what she shared. And even if you weren't, but you just like really good skincare products, definitely check her out. Definitely go check her out. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your support, and we will see you next time on Pivotal Moments with 𝐿𝐸TA.
Bye.